I'm here at the Cleary Auditorium on St. John Fisher's campus reporting on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s annual celebration. What does it mean to you to be the keynote speaker on the same day that Barack Obama is being inaugurated?
It was humbling when I got the call. I really didn't, at the moment I was asked to do this, didn't understand the synergy between the inauguration, the I Have a Dream speech, and the Emancipation Proclamation, all occurring in intervals of 150 years apart. So it was a very humbling occasion because I think it is powerful for us to reflect on exactly the progression and what this day means. Hopefully it would give us the energy to go forward faster, so it's not in 150-year intervals, but perhaps in 25, 10, and 5-year intervals in terms of seeing integration more at all levels in our society.
Now, you're familiar with the Trayvon Martin case, correct?
Correct.
Now, in response to that, if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. were alive today, what do you think his response would be to something like, with the Trayvon Martin case?
I think his response would be what we saw, which was a questioning of whether or not it was just for an arrest not to be made. And I think that's what you saw a lot of our folks who are concerned about social justice. That was their concern, because as you can see, once an arrest was made, the story kind of went away. We're not even concerned about the process at this point, but the fact that an arrest was not made initially was a cause for many to have a concern of whether or not justice is equal for everyone in our society. So I'm sure that Martin Luther King would have perhaps been at the forefront to challenge the institutions responsible for investigating this behavior and whether or not justice was done in terms of the result of the investigation.
Now, do you think that Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., would be happy with the progress humans have made so far for social justice?
I think in many ways, certainly. When you have, again, the biggest challenge of his day was social integration. And in a lot of the institutions where it was clearly in your face, blatant racism, where you had signs, whites only, or no blacks allowed, that has totally disappeared. So I would imagine that if he dropped in today, he would be very pleased to see the progress that we have reached, particularly in light of what he was up against. In terms of the results, and still the lagging of the African American community and a lot of the indicators of success, such as housing opportunities or jobs, that would be a concern. And certainly he will recognize that we still have a ways to go. But in terms of his outward, blatant racist practices that a lot of the institutions were practicing at the time, he would be certainly pleased with those barriers have been removed.
In your opinion, what still needs to be done to further development of social justice?
I think those who are in power have to recognize and be sensitive to the lacking of diversities and opportunities in different areas. Though you may not have an outward hatred of a particular race, I think it's incumbent upon those who have the power to do so to look and take an assessment of their corporation or their government entity or the educational field and see how can they make it reflect the citizens that it serves. So when you see those areas lacking, now you must take a concerted effort to perhaps groom, recruit, and reach out to a community that may be able to diversify the ranks and provide opportunity for all. I think that's the next step in this effort.
Reporting for Fisher News, I'm Jeffrey Evans.